Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Let's check in with Matt Lutovsky from Sporting News on the American League West. And my gosh, this seems to be a tight division from start to finish. Matt, we couldn't have said that a few years ago, but, Seattle has gotten better. The Rangers certainly, continue to get better. And for the first time last year, Matt, it didn't seem like the Astros were invincible, and Kyle Tucker has gone. It seems like this is kind of like an up-in-the-air division. It wouldn't surprise me if any of those three teams ended up winning, and I haven't said that for about 10 years, it feels like.
Yeah, for sure. I was on here last week. We talked about the AL Central and how, jumbled that was with four teams that really were very similar and had a legitimate claim. Feels like the West is the same, only three instead of four teams. No offense, obviously, to the Angels and A's, but they have an uphill climb. I think we all know that. But yeah, those three teams at the top of the West are all, again, they're not exactly similar in terms of how they're built, but in terms of their total talent, very tough to discern between the three. They all have legitimate claims for why you can make a case for why all three will be the best team and will be the winner. And obviously in cases like this, a lot of times it just comes down to health and which team can win that war of attrition, because like I said, they're all very good. They all have offense, the Mariners especially have pitching. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this one shakes out.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, honestly, I look at it now and I kind of look on paper and think, I got to be honest with you, that the Rangers should be the favorite here. I mean, to me, they may be the most talented team in the division. Their win total is 85.5. I understand their season last year was down. I mean, I get that. I mean, it was hard to be up after, so they got so fortunate, I think, in that run they had to the World Series. Corey Seager will be healthy. Simeon will be healthy. Made some nice moves in the offseason as well. There's some people clamoring for them to kind of put their foot on the gas there, but they get that guy, Jacob deGrom, back, and it kind of feels like, Matt, if deGrom makes 20 starts, I mean, I don't know if we can even ask that, but if he makes 20 starts, it just changes the dynamic completely of that team. I mean, can't hinge on one player, but he's a critical guy, I think, for them this year.
No, for sure, because I think when you look at their rotation, that's where maybe you have a few questions. The lineup is great, but deGrom's a big part of that rotation, or at least what they hope will be that rotation. And if he's not healthy, that takes a big bite out of things. And they might be at the point where they're good enough or they feel confident, okay, we're going to make the postseason no matter what. We just got to make sure he's healthy for the postseason. It might be one of that situations. But obviously when you're just talking about, well, who's going to win the division in the regular season, that would be the only thing that gives me pause about that team, because the lineup is stacked. They have good pitching in general, but are they going to be able to get over the top? And, that's going to require staying healthy with some of those key guys.
Yeah, no, definitely so. So when it comes to Houston, though, Matt, the thing for me is they do a really good job replacing players. They've had to do it so many times before, in Springer and Correa. For the first time this year, I'm not sure that they did that. I know they got Isaac Paredes, so he's going to help out. They're going to move Altuve to the outfield. I know we're going to talk about their pitching here a little bit. I'm honestly not really worried about their pitching. I think their pitching is going to be okay. I don't know that they have the pop going into this season as they had in all those World Series years and division years and years past. Feels like they didn't replace Tucker. And, honestly, did they even really replace Bregman here?
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. It's one of those teams, when you look at the roster, you look at the projected lineup, you see a lot of these familiar names that have been, staples of their incredible run here over the last, almost decade. And like you said, the rotation is good. But even though you see some of those names, top to bottom, it's not quite there the way it's been in the past. And, the names that you recognize, they're all getting a little bit older. So there are, I think, some question marks there, but they're certainly, very good as they've been here for a while. I think they, have the potential to maybe make a move at some point during the season if they want to do that, if they're willing to do that. But I don't think there's a question. I mean, I would think even most Astros fans would say that our lineup isn't quite as potent as it's been in years past. And so this is a team now that's, going to rely on pitching a little bit more. And the good thing for them is they have the arms to do it. So they're not going away. Let's put it that way. Just because they lost a couple key guys, they're still going to be a very good team and right in the mix for the division title.
Yeah, and I should mention Christian Walker signed with them in the offseason. Yeah. It's not like they have nothing. It's just a different feel. But their pitching development's been fantastic. Pitching development also fantastic in Seattle. We don't need to go there. We know they have the best pitching in the division, if not the best pitching in all of baseball, 1 through 4. they're fantastic. But it's going to be the offense that they're going to hope for this year. They acquired a Rosarena at the end of last year, so they're thinking is this is really going to push them over the top. I know fans in Seattle are just sick and tired of seeing, Matt, these 2-1 games and these 4-1 games. Are like, let's get it going here on offense. So they're going to hope that getting a Rosarena last year helps. And they're certainly also going to hope that the next step is taken by Julio Rodriguez. If he could ever get out of his own way in April and May, he'd be the best player in baseball, but starts off slow every year.
Yeah, that's just it. I was on here last week, and we kind of talked about teams where they can have internal improvement. So often we just look at, well, who they add, who they subtract. I mean, that's the type of guy who, superstar potential. If he can just put it all together for a full season, and just him doing that is really going to lift this offense. It's obviously going to lead to more wins early in the season, and that might be all it takes. I think the top of their lineup is strong, and maybe a little bit deceptively strong. And, with the pitching they have, that's the nice thing, where even if the offense isn't cooking, you can win some 2-1 games. Obviously, some of it's the ballpark too, maybe holding back the offense a little bit. But overall, I still think this is a really strong team. And I always like the teams with the best rotation. So, I think those three teams are so tightly bunched. I don't think you can look at one versus the other and say, oh, this is a much better value than this one. But I certainly think that the Mariners in general kind of offer good value. They're so good through the rotation, and to me through the top of that lineup, they're going to be a tough out for any team.
Definitely so. So that leaves us with the Angels here. Last year on the show, on SportsGrid, I was talking about my favorite win total was under on the Angels. I mean, how it was in the mid 70s, Matt, without Ohtani beats the bleep out of me. I have no idea. That was like I didn't get that one at all. So now they've adjusted and they put the Angels where they need to be, down at 72.5. And really, when you think about it, Matt, no adjustment for all of these like random players that they signed in the offseason, like Kenley Jansen and everyone else. I think it's a similar year for the Angels. They win somewhere in the 70s and trade these guys at the deadline.
No, I agree completely. And obviously with Mike Trout, it's about staying healthy. If he can stay healthy, have an old school vintage Mike Trout year, they might surprise, but it's just so tough to expect that to happen.
Yeah, I agree. Matt, thanks for coming on. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.